So we'll continue with the cholesterol metabolism. Now, little information about cholesterol I am talking here. So cholesterol is present only in animal fats. It is not seen in plant fat substances. Most important point, this is mainly present in animals, not in plants. Cholesterol present in all cells of the body, but abundantly present in nervous tissue. Abundantly means high concentrations of cholesterol can be seen in nervous tissue. Most of the cholesterol in the body, in the blood, exists as ester form. That is, fatty acid attached to the hydroxy group of C3 of cholesterol. C3 of cholesterol means fatty acid is esterified with the cholesterol, so it exists as cholesterol ester. It is existing as cholesterol ester in the blood. Now cholesterol is a 27 carbon compound. Cholesterol is a 27 carbon compound with a hydroxy group at C3, a sterol or steroid alcohol. So cholesterol consists of 27 carbons in its structure. There is a OH group at this third position, and this OH group is esterified with the fatty acid. Okay, this cholesterol consists of a steroid nucleus or steroid alcohol will be there. Okay, so cholesterol is amphipathic due to hydroxy group at C3 position. Cholesterol is amphipathic due to hydroxy group that is present at the C3. Means it acts as both polar and non-polar. Cholesterol means solid alcohol. Cholesterol, OL, means alcohol. Alcohol is there, that is why it is called OL, cholesterol. Sterol means is a steroid nucleus it consists of. Okay. So total cholesterol in the body, if you see, approximately about 140 grams. Total cholesterol in the body approximately weighs about 140 grams. If you see the significance of cholesterol is a structural component of all cell membranes. Cholesterol is structural component of all cell membranes. In specialized tissues, it precursor of bile acids, steroid hormones, vitamin D. In specialized tissues, it precursor of bile acids, steroid hormones and vitamin D. So cholesterol serves as a precursor for the formation of bile acids, steroid hormones and vitamin D. In humans, cholesterol influx and efflux is not precise, resulting gradual deposition of cholesterol in endothelial linings of blood vessels, resulting in a condition called atherosclerosis. So in humans, if you see, the cholesterol influx and efflux is not precise. So as a result, what will happen? This results in gradual deposition of cholesterol in the endothelial linings of blood vessels. So this condition, accumulation of this cholesterol around the blood vessel, endothelial lining of blood vessels, results in condition called atherosclerosis. So plaque formation can be seen. Now atherosclerosis causes narrowing of blood vessels, resulting in cardio, cerebro and peripheral vascular disease. Okay, so atherosclerosis causes narrowing of blood vessels, resulting in cardio, cerebro and peripheral vascular disease. So this is the structure of cholesterol. You can see the 27 carbons are there. Okay, third position there is a OH group, alcohol group. So this is a polar head. Because of the OH group, this becomes polar, and the non-polar tail is hydrophobic group. Okay. Now if you see the functions of cholesterol, cholesterol is a structural constituent of all the cell membranes, and this is required for bile acid formation in the body, and it is also required for steroid hormone synthesis. It is also required for synthesis of vitamin D. So cholesterol is responsible for formation of bile acids, steroid hormone synthesis, and synthesis of vitamin D. Coming to the transport of cholesterol, cholesterol is transported in plasma by different lipoproteins. LDL transports cholesterol from the liver to the peripheral tissues for their use. LDL transports cholesterol from the liver to the peripheral tissues for their use. HDL transports excess cholesterol from the peripheral tissues to the liver. So this helps in reverse cholesterol transport. If you see the average diet, it contains about 500 milligrams of cholesterol per day, and body synthesizes about 500 milligrams of cholesterol. So cholesterol is synthesized in the body, that is about 500 milligrams, and the daily diet, if you see, it also consists of some amount of cholesterol, which can range up to 500 milligrams per day. So on an average 1 gram of cholesterol is excreted per day. Out of this, about 400 milligrams of cholesterol, in the form of bile acids, and 600 mg in the form of free cholesterol is excreted in the feces. Vegetables contain sterols, which prevents cholesterol absorption. Vegetables contain sterols, which prevents cholesterol absorption. Cholesterol in the extrahepatic tissues, what will happen? The cholesterol is transported from the liver to the extrahepatic tissues by LDL, lipoprotein. Now in the extrahepatic tissues, they use this cholesterol for various purposes. Now the free cholesterol released within the cell has the following fates. If you see the fate of cholesterol, which is taken up by the extrahepatic tissues, it has got following fate. It can be incorporated into cell membranes, and excess cholesterol is esterified by the enzyme. ACAT means acyl cholesterol acyl transferase. So this enzyme, acyl cholesterol acyl transferase, esterifies the excess cholesterol and deposits cholesterol esters in the body cells. Cholesterol synthesis, if you see the cholesterol synthesis in the body, it occurs mainly in tissues like liver, intestine, adrenal cortex, ovaries, testes, and placenta. So these are the main organs or tissues responsible for cholesterol synthesis. All carbon atoms of cholesterol is provided by acetyl CoA. So acetyl CoA is required for the synthesis of cholesterol. NADPH provides necessary reducing equivalents. So NADPH is required for energy transfer and reduction reactions. Now cholesterol synthesis requires ATP. So this is an energy dependent metabolism. Enzymes are present in the cytosol and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. SER means smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So enzymes required for cholesterol synthesis are present in the cytoplasm and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So if you see the cholesterol synthesis, basic requirement is acetyl-CoA. Now acetyl-CoA has to be converted into a compound called HMG-CoA. HMG-CoA. So the pre-requirements, summary of the cholesterol synthesis I am just showing you here. So first acetyl-CoA has to be converted to HMG-CoA. This HMG-CoA is converted to mevalonate, and the following followed by some isomerization, it is converted into isoprenoid unit. So these isoprenoid units, they polymerize into a compound called squalene, and this squalene is converted to finally lanosterol, and then cholesterol is produced from the lanosterol. Okay, so this is just a summary. We are going to discuss these things in detail. Okay, so here you can see two molecules of acetyl-CoA condensed by the enzyme thiolase and converted into acetoacetyl-CoA. This is a 4-carbon compound. So acetyl-CoA is actually 2-carbon compound. 2 carbons are there, so it is a 2-carbon compound. Now two molecules of acetyl-CoA condense with each other by the enzyme thiolase. Okay, so they result in the formation of a compound called acetoacetyl-CoA. It is 4-carbon compound. Now acetoacetyl-CoA by the enzyme HMG-CoA synthase is converted to 3-hydroxy-3-methyl-glutaryl-CoA. 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 So it is called in short HMG-CoA. 3-hydroxy-3-methyl-glutaryl-CoA. HMG-CoA. This HMG-CoA is a 6-carbon compound. 6-carbon compound. This HMG-CoA in the next step undergoes reduction, NADPH dependent reduction, so by the enzyme HMG-CoA reductase. Okay, this enzyme HMG-CoA reductase is inhibited by cholesterol formation. The cholesterol that is formed during this synthesis as an end product can inhibit this enzyme HMG-CoA reductase. So this HMG-CoA reductase inhibited by feedback inhibition. So feedback inhibition. Okay, so this HMG-CoA by the enzyme HMG-CoA reductase, it removes the coenzyme A from HMG-CoA and converts it into mevalonic acid. Mevalonic acid. This mevalonic acid is a 6-carbon compound. 6-carbon compound. Only a change that has happened is removal of coenzyme A from HMG-CoA and converts it into mevalonic acid, which is a 6-carbon compound. Now acetyl-CoA is the precursor for cholesterol synthesis. Acetyl-CoA is the precursor for cholesterol synthesis. Acetyl-CoA is the precursor for cholesterol synthesis. HMG-CoA is also an intermediate. HMG-CoA is also an intermediate in the pathway for synthesis of ketone bodies. HMG-CoA is also an intermediate in the pathway for synthesis of ketone bodies. This we will discuss later, ketone bodies from acetyl-CoA. The enzyme HMG-CoA synthase, for ketone body production is located in mitochondrial matrix. HMG-CoA synthase for cholesterol synthesis is present in the cytoplasm, and cholesterol synthesis takes place in the cytoplasm and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So this HMG-CoA, which is formed by condensation of acetyl-CoA, 2 molecules of acetyl-CoA, which is resulted in the formation of acetoacetyl-CoA, and then it is catalyzed by HMG-CoA synthase. So HMG-CoA means beta-hydroxy beta-methyl glutaryl-CoA. So this HMG-CoA reductase catalyzes the production of mevalonate from HMG-CoA. Now this mevalonate is further activated to form 5-carbon unit called isoprenoid units. Okay, so mevalonate is activated to form mevalonate 3-phospho-5-pyrophosphate. Mevalonate is activated to form mevalonate 3-phospho-5-pyrophosphate. Mevalonate 3-phospho-5-pyrophosphate is decarboxylated to form IPP, that is called isopentenyl pyrophosphate. So mevalonate actually is a 6-carbon compound, is further activated to form a 5-carbon unit. That 5-carbon unit is nothing but mevalonate 3-phospho-5-pyrophosphate. This mevalonate 3-phospho-5-pyrophosphate is decarboxylated to form a 5-carbon compound called isopentenyl pyrophosphate, is called isoprenoid unit. This isopentenyl pyrophosphate is then isomerized to a compound called 3,3-dimethyl allyl pyrophosphate. 3,3-dimethyl allyl pyrophosphate. Both isopentenyl pyrophosphate and dimethyl allyl pyrophosphate are energized compounds and are therefore highly reactive They are referred to as the isoprene units. Okay, now you can see here mevalonate is converted to mevalonate 3-phosphate. Mevalonate 3-phosphate is further phosphorylated to mevalonate 3-phospho-5-phosphate. This is further phosphorylated to mevalonate 3-phospho-5-pyrophosphate. So this is the activated form of mevalonate. Now this mevalonate 3-phospho-5-pyrophosphate by the enzyme phosphomevalonate decarboxylase is converted to a compound called isopentenyl pyrophosphate. This isopentenyl pyrophosphate again undergoes isomerization by the enzyme isopentenyl pyrophosphate isomerase. So isopentenyl pyrophosphate is converted to 3,3-dimethyl allyl pyrophosphate. Isopentenyl pyrophosphate is then isomerized to 3,3-dimethyl allyl pyrophosphate, and both the isopentenyl pyrophosphate and dimethyl allyl pyrophosphate are energized compounds and are therefore highly reactive. They are referred to as isoprene units. So from this there is a formation of 30 carbon compounds called squalene takes place from condensation of 6 isoprenoid units. So isopentenyl pyrophosphate and dimethyl pentenyl pyrophosphate condenses to form 10 carbon compound called geranyl pyrophosphate. This reaction is driven forward by pyrophosphate hydrolysis. A second molecule of isopentenyl pyrophosphate condenses with geranyl pyrophosphate to form farnesyl pyrophosphate, which is a 15 carbon compound. This compound stands at branch point of various biosynthetic pathways. It can enter the pathway leading to biosynthesis of cholesterol, dolicol or ubiquinone. So two molecules of farnesyl pyrophosphate further condense to yield 30 carbon compound called squalene, and squalene synthase is the enzyme catalyzing this reaction. Two molecules of pyrophosphate are released, one from each of two molecules of farnesyl pyrophosphate. Two NADPH molecule are used for providing the reducing equivalents. Okay, now see what will happen. Dimethyl pentenyl pyrophosphate, isopentenyl pyrophosphate, both are 5 carbon compounds. 5 plus 5, it becomes 10. 10 carbon compound is geranyl pyrophosphate. Now this geranyl pyrophosphate reacts with what do you call another isopentenyl pyrophosphate and forms farnesyl pyrophosphate. Farnesyl pyrophosphate is a 15 carbon compound. So 2 molecules of farnesyl pyrophosphate condenses, and by the enzyme squalene synthase it becomes a compound called squalene, which is a 30 carbon compound. 30 carbon compound. This 30 carbon compound squalene undergoes some changes like conversion of squalene to lanosterol, gymosterol, desmosterol, and then finally it is converted to a compound called 7-dehydrocholesterol. 7-dehydrocholesterol. So this is called cholesterol. This is how a 27 carbon cholesterol compound is synthesized from acetyl CoA 2 carbon compound. Okay. So you can see here HMG CoA is converted to mevalonate. Mevalonate undergoes decarboxylation step and results in the formation of isopentenyl pyrophosphate, is isoprenoid unit. So 2 isoprenoid units, they condense and form 10 carbon compound called geranyl pyrophosphate, and geranyl pyrophosphate reacts with again isopentenyl pyrophosphate and results in 15 carbon compound formation, that is farnesyl pyrophosphate. This farnesyl pyrophosphate, 2 molecules, they condense with each other. 2 farnesyl pyrophosphate, they combine and form a 30 carbon compound called squalene. By the enzyme cyclase, this 30 carbon compound squalene is converted to lanosterol, desmosterol, then finally it is converted to 7-dehydrocholesterol. So this is how cholesterol is synthesized in the body. Now if you see the regulation of cholesterol synthesis, regulation enzyme is HMG CoA reductase, is subject to feedback regulation by cholesterol. Suppose if enough amount of cholesterol is present in the body, it gives a negative feedback on the enzyme HMG CoA reductase and stops the HMG CoA reductase action. So this is called feedback regulation. The amount of dietary cholesterol determines the cholesterol synthesis. Average diet per day contains about 300 to 400 milligrams of cholesterol. In diet, cholesterol is low, synthesis is increased in the body. Now short-term regulation is by covalent modification of the HMG CoA reductase. Cyclic AMP mediated cascade phosphorylates the enzyme which is inactive. This cyclic AMP mediated action and all I will discuss when I am talking about the hormones. Okay. So dephosphorylated form is active form and phosphorylated form is the inactive form. So phosphorylation is done by a specific kinase and dephosphorylation of a phosphoprotein phosphatase results in the inactivation of the enzyme. Long-term regulation involves suppression of transcription of the gene HMG CoA reductase synthesis. Insulin and triiodothyronine increase the activity of HMG CoA reductase, whereas cortisol and glucagon decrease its activity. Regulation of HMG CoA. HMG CoA is finally converted to cholesterol. Okay, so this cholesterol has a feedback inhibition on this enzyme HMG CoA reductase. Okay, so HMG CoA reductase is active and reductive is kinase. It makes this inactive HMG CoA reductase. This requires phosphorylation. So the phosphorylated form is active form because the phosphate is donated to dephosphorylated form is active form and phosphorylation makes it inactive. So this becomes inactive on phosphorylation, this enzyme, and this is also regulated by the insulin. Insulin stimulates the enzyme HMG CoA reductase. Okay, glucagon inhibits the enzyme HMG CoA reductase. So glucagon through the cyclic AMP, it inhibits this enzyme protein phosphatase, which prevents this phosphorylation of this, which prevents the dephosphorylation of this enzyme. So this becomes inactive. Now excretion of cholesterol, if you see, cholesterol ring can't be degraded in our body. It is excreted as bile acids or salts and as free cholesterol through bile. A large portion of biliary excretion of bile salts undergoes enterohepatic circulation, and a small part of it is excreted in the feces, Now synthesis of bile acids. So cholesterol is converted to 7-alpha hydroxycholesterol. 7-alpha hydroxycholesterol is converted to cholic acid. This cholic acid, on reaction with the amino acid taurine and glycine, it becomes tarocholic acid and glycocholic acid. Similarly, 7-hydroxycholesterol becomes quinodeoxycholic acid. It becomes taurine and glycine. It becomes taroquinodeoxycholic acid and glycoquinodeoxycholic acid. So these are called as primary bile acids. Okay. Tarocholic acid, glycocholic acid, taroquinodeoxycholic acid and glycoquinodeoxycholic acid, they are called as bile acids. So bile acids are synthesized from cholesterol. So primary bile acids, cholic acid and quinodeoxycholic acid, they are derived from the cholesterol in the liver. Bile acids are insoluble in water. They are conjugated with glycine and taurine to form glycocholate and tarocholate, so they become soluble. Secondary bile acids means these are the bile acids produced from the primary bile acids. Bile acids are deconjugated and dehydroxylated in intestine by bacteria to form secondary bile acids, that is quinodeoxycholic acid and lithocholic acid. 98% of the bile acids are returned to the liver by enterohepatic circulation. Okay. Now these bile acids are bile salts. They are required for the emulsification of fats and helping in the digestion of lipids. So emulsification of fats increases the surface area for the action of the enzyme lipase. This we have already discussed in the lipid digestion and absorption. Similarly, bile acids and bile salts help in micelle formation, thereby aiding in absorption of digested fats. These bile acids, the main pathway for excretion of cholesterol is in the form of bile acids and salts. You know that bile is synthesized in the liver and stored in gallbladder. During the process of digestion, this bile juice is released into the duodenum through hepatobiliary duct. So this bile juice contains bile acids and bile salts, okay, and some amount of cholesterol. So main pathway for excretion of cholesterol is in the form of bile acids or salts. Bile acids and phospholipids help in solubilization of cholesterol in the bile. Okay, bile acids and phospholipids help in solubilization of cholesterol in the bile. So this is the normal lipid profile test which we do in our lab. You know the total serum cholesterol level in the plasma or serum is about 150 to 200 milligrams per deciliter is the normal range of total cholesterol. HDL cholesterol 40 to 60 milligrams per deciliter in the plasma or serum. LDL cholesterol normal value, if you see, it is about 80 to 130 milligrams per deciliter, and normal triacylglycerol means triglycerides level, if you see, it is 50 to 150 milligrams per deciliter. Okay. The clinical conditions associated with serum cholesterol level, increased serum cholesterol level, if you see, diabetes mellitus, acetyl-CoA pool is increased and more molecules are channeled to cholesterol synthesis. So in diabetes mellitus also we can see increased cholesterol synthesis. And obstructive jaundice, in the obstructive jaundice also the excretion of cholesterol through bile is blocked, so there is increase in cholesterol level in the blood. Hypothyroidism, the receptors for HDL on liver cells are decreased in case of hypothyroidism, and so excretion is not effective. As a result also cholesterol level increases in the blood. Nephrotic syndrome is a syndrome where albumin is lost through urine and globulins are increased as a compensatory mechanism, so apolipoproteins are increased and then cholesterol is correspondingly increased. And familial hyperlipoproteinemia, if you see the Fredrickson classification, you can understand this familial hyperlipoproteinemia. Persistent hypercholesterolemia leads to a condition